Hello everyone. So our next part of the chapter is structural engineers, roles and responsibilities. Okay. So structural engineers are primarily concerned with designing and constructing buildings and structures that are safe and capable of withstanding the elements to which they will be exposed, as well as improving the structural integrity of existing buildings. They are responsible for preparing reports, designs, and drawings. Okay, so structural engineers design the structures that must resist the stresses and pressures inflicted through human use and environmental conditions. They configure structures, they choose appropriate building material, they inspect the construction work and ensure the structural soundness of buildings and structures. Therefore, the role of a structural engineer is a very key component in the construction process. The part of the wider discipline of civil engineering, that is structural engineering, is concerned with the design and physical integrity of buildings and other large structures like tunnels and bridges. Structural engineers have a wide range of responsibilities, not least a duty to ensure the safety and durability of the project on which they are working. So, unlike architects who must focus on the appearance, shape, size, and use of the building, structural engineers must solve technical problems and help the architect achieve his or her vision for the project. So, before constructing any structure, the structural engineer is responsible for the technical issues. That means how much load will be acting on the structure, what should be the dimensions of the various components of the structure. So actually he is the key component in the during the construction process. But if we talk about architects, they focus only on the appearance, shape, size, and use of the building. So what do structural engineers do? So structural engineers work in offices and on construction sites, or they may split their time between both office and construction sites. So, and the locations can be varied, including work in metropolitan and rural environments. Depending on the size of the project, structural engineers may also be required to work long hours in teams consisting of professional, skilled, and semi-skilled workers. Structural engineers also ensure that the buildings and bridges which will be built are very strong enough and stable enough to resist all the appropriate structural loads. That means gravity load, wind load, snow load, earthquake load, earth pressure, temperature, traffic, etc., to prevent or reduce the loss of life or injury. Okay? So what does structural engineers, what skills, if we talk about the skills required for a structural engineer, so they must possess excellent numeracy skills, they must possess excellent analytical skills, they must have in-depth scientific knowledge, they must have the ability to solve problems, they must be familiar with computers and software programs, and one of the most important criteria of a structural engineer, that they must have good communication and interpersonal skill, and they must have very good technical skills. Okay, so these are the various things that structural engineers need, and so let us move the next part of our lecture,